Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. Our story of the day is dealing with the continued censorship of Republicans and conservatives. And not just censorship of people like Donald Trump, Steven Crowder, Congressman Jim Banks, Rand Paul, and now Marjorie Taylor Greene, but also of platforms like conservative publishers. And we'll get into that a little bit later in this episode. Well, over the weekend, I'm sure many of you heard the breaking news, the shattering news that Twitter announced Sunday that the personal account for Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene had been permanently suspended for repeated violations of the social media platform's policy on COVID-19 vaccine misinformation. And I'm pulling that keyword out for a reason, and we'll get into that in a moment as well. Well, what did Twitter say about this? They ended up releasing a statement to The Hill that said, quote, "We permanently suspended the account for repeated violations of our COVID-19 misinformation policy. We've been clear that per our strike system for this policy, we will permanently suspend accounts for repeated violations of the policy." Now, prior to this, Greene had 4 strikes on this policy. This makes her 5th. So Greene had 5 strikes against her with regard to the platform's medical misinformation policy. And this is a problem, folks, because misinformation is very different than disinformation. Disinformation is just false information, which is intended to mislead. Misinformation is just false or inaccurate information. And that's the problem. Big tech is censoring people for misinformation. Folks, information regarding COVID-19 is constantly changing. You can go through millions of Twitter accounts through the past 2 years and literally find misinformation regarding COVID because the statistics change and so does the information. So why are they just targeting Republicans? Why is it that Democrats are not being suspended over this? I thought the left were all about equality. And right now, I see a massive disparity in suspensions of Republicans compared to Democrats. Folks, I was under the impression from the left that anytime there's a disparity, there must be discrimination. So why are the left not going out and creating policies that eliminate this disparity? Because that's what they love to do. Affirmative action is just one example of many. But they're not going to go out because, again, they support censorship of those they disagree with. So again, what is this all about? Like I just said, it's all about silencing viewpoints that they disagree with that goes against their narrative. It's also about censoring the side they disagree with. And Democrats are in full support of this, folks. They're in full support of this kind of censorship. And these are just a couple examples here. Marcus Flowers, who's a Democrat that intends to challenge Greene in 2022's re-election bid, had previously called for Greene to be removed, not just from Twitter, but also from Congress. This is what Flowers had to say. Quote, "Marjorie Taylor Greene shouldn't be on Twitter or in Congress." When did he tweet this? December 28th, just days before Greene's personal account was suspended. Just a day later, another Democrat tweeted, "The fact that a sitting member of Congress is toying with the idea of a civil war." We're still on this. Toying with the idea of civil war 8 days before January 6th. They just can't let it go. I'm not in support of January 6th. I don't think it should have ever happened. I think it was a bad look for everybody. But they're still going to sit there and push this when a couple hundred people storm the Capitol and then were removed. Where you spent years having Black Lives Matter and the left destroying our cities, lighting businesses on fire, killing police officers. But we're just supposed to look past that. We can't address that. The people that are in support of that, like Maxine Waters, shouldn't be expelled or shouldn't be removed. Nothing of that nature. We can't talk about that because then we're bigots, sexist, racist, homophobes, all that stuff. You know how it works. The idea of a civil war 8 days before January 6th should alarm everyone. He went on to say, "We expelled 14 members in 1861 for supporting the Confederacy. Why does Marjorie Taylor Greene still have her seat? She must be expelled." Democrats and the left will stop at nothing, folks, to censor viewpoints that they disagree with and label it as misinformation. Very similar how they label certain things as racist. And since everybody's against racism, everybody wants accurate information, they're going to push policies and push certain platforms to censor ideas and thought that they disagree with. Well, regarding this whole debacle with Marjorie Taylor Greene and the continued censorship of Republicans and conservatives, this sparked Joe Rogan to tell his Twitter followers to join him on Getter. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Getter, this is a social media platform that was launched on July 4th by Jason Miller. If you don't know who Jason Miller was, he's an advisor to former President Donald Trump. Rogan posted on Getter saying, "Just in case shit over at Twitter gets even dumber, I'm here now as well, rejoice." And following this announcement by Rogan that he joined Getter, the social media platform saw over 150,000 new users in a single day. Not a month, Not a year, but a single day. You think there's a little bit of demand for this type of platform? I think so. It is not just Joe Rogan, but another Getter user is Dr. Robert Malone. He's a virologist and an immunologist who has said he helped develop mRNA technology and who is an outspoken critic of the COVID-19 mRNA vaccine. Well, because he's a critic and it goes against the left's narrative, Malone said last week that his Twitter account was suspended. So it's not just conservatives or Republicans. Again, it's anybody the left disagrees with, they're going to ban or censor. Folks, it should also be noted that Joe Rogan's episode with Dr. Robert Malone was pulled off of YouTube this past week. Platforms are actively removing content that goes against their leftist narratives. Speaking of platforms censoring conservatives, Facebook permanently disabled new conservative children's book publisher ad account. There's a new conservative book publisher that's offering biographies of luminaries such as President Ronald Reagan, Thomas Sowell, who you've all heard of. I've spoken about Thomas Sowell on the show a lot. And recently, Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett. They've all been stifled by Facebook, which permanently disabled the ads account of the publisher, claiming Heroes of Liberty, the publisher, which launched on November 14th, violated Facebook rules against, get this rule, low quality or disruptive content. That's why they disabled the ad. Again, because of low quality and disruptive content. Do you think that's a little subjective? But this sparked Senator Ted Cruz to slam Facebook, noting, quote, when conservatives start independent publishing outlets and platforms, big tech companies like Facebook now work to destroy them. This is the latest example, particularly galling. Well, we also had former GOP Wisconsin governor and current YAF president Scott Walker echoing, quote, another glaring example of cancel culture. The left does not want to compete in a battle of ideas, so they try to shut us out. And Governor Walker said it perfectly. That's all they want to do is just get rid of the thought, get rid of the ideas, because they know that their ideas suck and ours are so good that it's going to shatter them and they're going to get completely shellacked in these elections coming up. Well, what does all of this show us, folks? The left will stop at nothing to destroy conservative ideas. They're going to censor ideas they disagree with. And look, I disagree with the majority of what Democrats and the left say and do, but I think they have a right to say it. It is up to the individual whether information is right or wrong, correct or incorrect. If the left is able to censor presidents like Donald Trump or senators and congressmen and women, what is stopping them from censoring someone like you or I? There's nothing. There's nothing stopping them from doing this. So folks, it is vital that we support conservatives. So I'm asking you to support the show by subscribing and liking this video, sharing my channel with your friends and family all over social media. Post it everywhere. For every conservative censor, another one must rise up, which is why I am doing this show and why I need your help, because it's only a matter of time before another conservative that is sharing those conservative ideas and thought out there is going to be censored. Our books are now being censored, which is another way of us distributing that conservative thought and ideas out there to everyone. And folks, I look forward to you helping us here at the show for this new year. With that being said, folks, that is all the news I have for you at this time, and I will see you a little bit later here on The Bald Brad Show.